love standing.
Monday morning, back in the saddle. It's almost July. It's been raining like crazy in Midland. Humid as hell.
Humid.
Ryan,
it's humidity.
Listen. It has been humid. Okay. It's not a Houston, but comparative to what it should be out here in Midland, I mean, it's wet. It's wet. I don't know what's going on out here. What's going on your side of the world, Ryan? What's going down?
Man, it is a fantastic day in the neighborhood, as Mr. Rogers would say. So everything's lovely. It's hot. Definitely hot.
For those of you that haven't tuned in before, this is Mornings Off the Rails. Unclear what we're going to get into. Don't know where this is going to go.
Well, hold on. No. See, we're off the rails already.
See,
for years. I mean, like half a decade.
Don't let the facts.
Ben has been begging me to do show prep for our shows.
Yeah.
He's also made fun of me for not waking up early.
Yeah. All these things are true. What else?
This morning, I wake up early, and that's the show prep.
That's true.
You know exactly where we're going if you follow the show prep.
I honestly wasn't going to because that was going to be a little bit too foreign. I mean, having a structure seems counterintuitive at this point. But you might be right. We might dabble in some of those things.
Oh gracious, man! My Twitter is going crazy. Hold on. For those of you who might want to hear about inflation and oil prices, Inside the War Room, episode 25 with the great Anas Al-Haji is out. So be sure to go.
I see we're just using this show as cross promotion. Oh, I see how it is. Oh, okay.
Also Thursdays.
Okay.
On F1, you have Coffee and Liquidity. Last week was really the peak of the show, but you might want to go watch something else.
It's funny you say that. I thought about just like ending that show after that episode, good or bad. I wasn't sure if that was just because it went so poorly or so well. But I feel like should be just like the last one, right off in the sunset and just be done. But no, for those of you that are going to be tuning in Thursday at 1, we do have Tim Kotzman coming on, Coffee and Liquidity. Should be a good one. Yes, sir.
Tim.
We're going to have we're going to talk about Jubilee Royalty Fund and a little bit of the other things that he's got going on. That should be a good one.
Let me just say this. I told you the percentage I got back on my first check, right? It was like, it's pretty good. I remember what it was, but it's pretty good. So I can't say that future performance will be a result of past or how that goes, but I'm an investor in his first fund. And the first check I got based on percentage of investment was pretty nice. So yeah.
And I'm sure, so apropos to what we're talking about today, I'm sure that you took all that capital gains and rolled it directly into Bitcoin. So it's a good thing, Ryan, that you don't live in the UK. Why is that? For today's purposes, there's lots of reasons that it's good that you don't live in the UK. But for today's reasons, what came out over the last few days that would be disadvantageous for someone that's in crypto?
Yeah,
UK?
Well, the Brits. Now I've said this before one time, and someone made fun of me. So is it not Binance? Is that how I say it?
I believe it is.
Okay,
that's how I pronounce it.
Maybe I call it something else. But anyway, so Binance has been banned, it seems, from the UK. Now, this is important, and here's why, Ben. If you go back, I don't know, 3-4 months ago, you had India was talking about banning crypto, trading, owning, holding, looking at, thinking about any relationship to crypto, 2, 3, 4 rungs removed, whatever it is. And that coincided with I'll say it's the Minister of Finance. I can't remember who it was on the Indian side, talking to Janet Yellen on the U.S. side, who, as we know, Janet Yellen is not exactly a Bitcoin gal. Not really her cup of tea.
For the sake of clarity, because I do think it's important, Yellen has been one of the most vocal against, really for the last 5-6 years. I mean, and she's been on our side on the Fed. She has been sort of the poster child for.
So she's talking to India, and then India's like, yeah, oh, by the way, we might ban it. Maybe that's not related. Maybe it is. And I said at the time that you will have countries that want the U.S. to keep its spot as the reserve currency, right? And those countries will back the U.S. interest in keeping the reserve currency. So India kind of makes sense because it's not it's not one of the top 2 or 3 nations in the world, but it is a big boy. It is a big player, huge population. And it's just big, and it's I hate to say big enough because their population-wise are huge, but economic might, they're big enough to send shockwaves when they do something like that. Whereas El Salvador making Bitcoin legal tender is a cute story that we all get behind, but it's not. That's the little engine that could, right? India is a real player. So now you move forward and you see the UK doing this, and you have to wonder, Ben, how many of these top nations will take this stance to back the US's goal of maintaining itself as the world's reserve currency. And this, I don't know if the UK will go full ban, but this is a step in that direction. You're muted.
That's usually good for the show. I mean, I think it invites a really interesting question. I think that you and I have talked about on air a number of times how the U.S. has, for the sake of this conversation, I'll say overplayed their hand in a number of realms, is sort of playing that world police and kind of that world stage. You saw it with a number of the agreements that Trump exited, and then Biden, as soon as he was elected, went right back in, and that sort of ping pong effect. And so, I guess to your point, I think that it's hard in that environment to have any sort of cogent policy on something that's this difficult at its baseline to regulate, right? Because this isn't something that It's like, oh, you can put some regulations in place. I mean, there sort of has to be some kind of cohesion towards the middle. And I guess the other way to say that is, so you saw, I'm going to blank on the country. Was it El Salvador? Was it El Salvador that author? Okay, so you saw El Salvador come on about a month or 6 weeks ago and announce that they were going to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. And so, yeah, to your point, I think you're going to see Bitcoin and these digital currencies become another battleground for the powers that are across the country or across the world. Just some extra context on this conversation. As of recent, the finance minister of Japan came out, I believe, on Thursday or Friday of last week, aggressively against Bitcoin, talking about looking at this more harshly and looking at regulation. Binance exited the market of, it was either Binance or Coinbase. I believe Binance exited the market. Actually, maybe even Coinbase exited the market of Ontario last week. And so, I mean, there have been a number of larger moves that kind of signal the same thing that we saw back in 2017. And that's the other piece of this, that for those that have been paying attention to this for the last few years, there was that massive run up in late 17, early 18, and then arguably, one of the factors for the pretty aggressive crash there was that most of the world powers came out and said, "Hey, we've got to look at this more clean, more closely." The U.S. started talking about capital gains tax and et cetera, and using it sort of as a mechanism for control. But I find it interesting that that mechanism of control is precisely why Bitcoin and these other digital currencies do exist. And so kind of where that battle actually takes place is going to be really interesting.
Well, and the other thing is that you have it rolling out in the US. Like, mass adoption, for lack of a better term, in the US is at peak right now, right? Bitcoin knowledge, understanding, adoption. No, it's not peak. I'm not saying it's going to peak. I'm saying
just not the first two words. Adoption, yes. Knowledge, not so much. But
no. You missed what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that at this point in history, there are more people in the U.S. that have Bitcoin and understand something about Bitcoin than any time before. I'm not saying they understand Bitcoin itself, but they understand something about it.
Yes.
Whereas in baseball, you would say that now baseball is probably one of the lowest points of knowledge in people watching it, right? It's been around longer. It's on the decline. So Bitcoin's on the way up, baseball on the way down. It's got a long way to go, and Ben's out the show. My point is that that's what's interesting is that these other countries, these smaller countries who are putting pressure on Bitcoin, that's why I think they are more likely than not doing the U.S.'s bidding. Because what does it hurt them? Like, why are they so concerned about it? The U.S. is the reserve currency, right? Not their currencies. So, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think that's interesting. I don't know. I think that what you're saying would sort of lead to there being like actual cohesion and actual forethought into a policy directive, guided at Bitcoin from like a collaborative effort across countries, and I think that's pretty aggressive to even think that they would be smart enough to do that.
Well, hold on. They're talking about a global 10% tax rate right now.
Yeah. They've been talking about, the global tax rate, but the global corporate tax rate is not anything new.
Sure, but I'm saying that this is not. So my guess, and I don't know, I could be wrong here. My guess is that the U.S. is asking its allies to put pressure on Bitcoin so that at some point in the future they can come back to the citizens of the U.S. and say, listen, Europe does it, Japan does it, everywhere does it. This Bitcoin's dangerous and they've caught terrorists and done this. We can't have it here either. But it's easier to build that case from a coalition standpoint than the U.S. doing it unilaterally.
No, I don't disagree with you. So I'm reading an article here that's talking about China's moves towards banning some of the more mining-specific activities. And so I'm curious what you think about this quote. So it's from the co-founder and CEO of blockchain.com, which is one of the large names out there. So it's the article says, though the news and subsequent crash that may have caused short-term headaches in the crypto market, China's crackdown on mining may actually benefit crypto in the long run, according to some experts. I think that it's actually fantastic news for the Bitcoin ecosystem. Peter Smith, blockchain.com co-founder and CEO, says you're going to see a lot of diversification of mining operations around the world. We've been seeing that trend over the last 2 years as large mines are built in Europe, the US, and a variety of other geographic locations, but that trend is going to be accelerated hard now. And I did not necessarily need to read that entire quote, but I think that what it points to is that the ubiquity of Bitcoin is the value. And the more that these powers, like even the UK or Japan or the US or China, the more that they crack down, the more that Bitcoin will be pushed into the less regulated areas like the El Salvadors. And to your point, I think that that's a power positive for the El Salvadors of the world. And, when the US and the UK and Japan wake up and realize, hey, this movement is going away from us, and our deregulation of it or our resistance to adoption is actually going to hurt us on a world platform, I think you're going to have that day of reckoning. But I don't think that we're anywhere close to that. I think that there's, to your point, I think that there's a lot of run room for these smaller countries to gain power by leaning into this movement. But here's a question I'll ask, or I'll pose to you. What happens if in that scenario, the powers that be, the UK, US, Japan, etc., say, okay, El Salvador, you can do that, but you are now starved of every single funding dollar, period, outside of your own borders. There's some places that can do that. There's a lot of places that can't.
So two things. One, on Inside the War Room, just to give a plug because you don't like that. But no, Anas Al-Haji has a great point. And he said that he doesn't buy into this. Wasn't about Bitcoin, but he says he's a little leery of these kind of policy changes because in general, it's a one-man show, right? So in El Salvador, the president could be deposed tomorrow, and then you're back to square one. That's a very shrewd assessment of emerging markets, because a lot of times we think about the U.S. and every 4 or 8 years, new president, new Congress, That's not how it goes in some of these countries, and so that's an angle to watch, is that these governments could flip. And think about the energy reforms in Mexico just a few years ago, and boom, now they're gone. So you have that to watch. But to your point, if I was El Salvador, I would sit there and I would try to deregulate as much as possible. And I would do everything I could to get people right now, while the buzz is going, to come invest in my country. Now, I don't know what all their tax policies are, local content laws as far as hiring people. I don't know enough about their country to say what they can and can't do, but I would do that. I would open up citizenship, immigration, whatever. If it's not, I would change those policies to make a mass influx. Because if you do that, other countries, to your point, might look at that and go, dang, man, look at El Salvador. They got, you wouldn't get Walmart, but they've got some tech company to come down there. They got whatever. And that's what they need. And so we'll see if it happens. You're muted.
You don't think that Walmart?
Sorry.
You don't think that Walmart has figured out how to get into El Salvador yet? Oh, sorry, it's too soon. Never mind. Continue. Sorry.
Well,
I apologize.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. All right. So hey, listen, we'll see. Sorry,
Ryan, do not forget that when the water rises, there's stuff there.
There's stuff there.
Don't forget. So Clay is coming in with a question, Ryan. This one's directed at you. Will the price go up if mining is slowed and regulated?
Will the price of Bitcoin go up if I don't know what determines the price of Bitcoin right now? And I say that with all honesty. Like, the price, when you look at the prices right now, does anyone know what's determined with determining prices? I will say this about Bitcoin: the longer we go, the price of mining will have to impact it. Now, I don't know. I wanted your read on this China thing. You kind of touched on it a minute ago, but it would seem that if China's banning mining, that's not good for the mining industry, right? There has to be bad news for Bitcoin. And sometimes I feel like the Bitcoin guys are always like, hey, this is good news because of this. This is good news. There has to be bad news at some point. No bad news.
Well, talk to me. Tell me more about that. I'm not sure I understand.
So it would seem that just from a simple market standpoint, the more countries that allow you to mine, the more ways you can mine, the different energy sources you can use, and the cheaper you can find these energy sources. Therefore, the less countries you have, the potential for more for higher cost of mining to happen because you can't access places. So if China is going to cut out mining, it seems like that could be bad news. I'm not saying like end of the world. Oh my gosh, the end is not. But just like, oh man, that's not good. We'd like to be in China. So that. What am I missing?
So yeah, I mean, so in one way, I certainly see that argument because in China, to your point, in past shows, when China wants to go a certain direction, they can go 100 miles an hour, and there doesn't need to be a governor in the system there. Pun intended, I guess. I didn't actually mean governor, but anyways. But I think the problem with that is the reverse side of that. That's okay if China is going to ban that movement. Number one, I think it's a move to control the people that are doing it and make them criminals. I don't think it's a move that the Chinese government wants, or I don't think it's a move saying the Chinese government is against Bitcoin or they don't like mining. I think it's purely, these people are doing something that we can go get them for. And it's a control mechanism. I want your response on that first. But
go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry. Stepping away from that, though, if you just look at, okay, so we're going to shut down Bitcoin mining in China, what's going to happen? I think that you to that article's point and forget his name, but the blockchain.com CEO's point, I think that you just simply will see that sprout up in other places, whether that be Chile or some of the possibly in the US. I mean, some of these other places will take that bandwidth. I certainly don't see it as a potential to decrease the network bandwidth or anything like that of Bitcoin. Do you disagree with what I said about China?
Possibly. Let me tease this out here a little bit. I would say that China is concerned about. Now, this is you talk about the highest levels of China. They're concerned about not having control of their population, and so Bitcoin potentially offers that out, right? You can have like what they do to Jack Ma or these other guys. They come in, they take over their finances. Bitcoin could potentially offer the end around for that. So in that regard, and they also have the digital yuan, which they're trying to roll out, which would seem to be in competition with Bitcoin. So I do think from that standpoint, they could care. Now that's not the same as some local regional governor, use your term, who is like, listen, what do I care? Come on, let's make some money here. So I think that might be something to follow along. But
to be clear, when I said governor, I meant like the thing in your car.
I know. I was punning on your pun.
But man, don't be doing that. It's before 9:00 in the morning on a Monday.
Okay, let's get off Bitcoin. I just saw this, and I apologize. This was in my rundown this morning. I missed, but now I pulled up the IPO watch this week, and I saw a bunch of companies I didn't know. But there's two that I just overlooked. Two, I can't believe it. LegalZoom is going to raise $488 million at a. Oh, hold on, I can't get this here at a. at a 5.3 billion market cap, and Krispy Kreme, holla at your boy, Krispy Kreme, 600 million at a 3.8 billion market cap. Mr. Samuels, which of these stocks will you be buying?
Krispy Kreme is trash. It's all Shipley's, and and LegalZoom is.
Wow! Whoa!
LegalZoom is what?
You should
for anyone. Wow. So let me parse this out. Krispy Kreme is garbage when compared to Shipley's donuts. The only caveat to that is if you have a hot glazed Krispy Kreme donut,
it's the goat of goats. There is nothing better. Ben. A
hot Shipley's glazed donut is the end of the conversation. I'm sorry. Like if you don't believe that, you either haven't had one or you're wrong. This isn't even a conversation.
No. Jordan is like the goat of basketball players. Gretzky's like the goat of hockey players. The hot glazed Krispy Kreme donut is the goat of goats. It is like if you have all the goats from all industries, it sits atop of all of them, looking down upon the peasants beneath them. It is the goat of Ben. It's the goat of goats. The hot Krispy Kreme is the goat of goats. It's not even.
Listen. I don't think any less of you because you're wrong. It's okay that you're wrong. You're allowed to have bad takes. This is a bad take. This is a bad one. The Krispy Kreme glazed donut is absolutely not better than Shipley's. It's just not.
It's not close.
That's correct.
It's close. We have you on recording on one of these shows saying this.
No, I said what I just said.
The chocolate donut at Krispy Kreme.
The Krispy Kreme hot glazed donut is the best donut in the building outside of a hot Shipley's donut, but it's second. It's just not first. There's no chance.
No.
We're having a taste test on air. This is ridiculous. Can we get back to LegalZoom, please?
Okay, no. The GOAT. You have disrespected the GOAT. How dare you?
If you want to actually play it back, that's not going to go well for you because this take of mine has not changed since I was like 2 years old, and so we can play the tape back
for a long time.
We can play the tape back because you said that I said that Krispy Kreme was better. We can play it back, and you'll see.
I had the exact same 16 hours of you just making no sense to find a take that you were actually right on. Wow!
Thank you, Clay. Thank you, Clay. Thank you.
Wow.
I mean, this is not even an argument. Wow. I don't understand. Can we talk about LegalZoom, please? So the reason I said that about LegalZoom, guys, is because I used to use LegalZoom. I now use Rocket Lawyer and actually do most of the stuff myself. But what I will say is that the most frustrating part about LegalZoom is that they seem to be one of those companies that you call and it takes a long time to get somebody on the phone, first of all. And then when you get someone on the phone, I feel like I've talked to, or I went through a string maybe of just a few years of talking to people on the phone at LegalZoom where I happened to catch them on their first day. And I don't mean that was actually their first day, but it seemed it was their first day, even though.
Can you take down Clay's comment while you're just railing on something else?
No. Good grief. I just wanted to leave that up there.
Clay, you used to be a good dude. You used to be. Unbelievable. Go ahead. Zoom takes.
So I got frustrated and I jumped ship to Rocket Lawyer. And whenever you call Rocket Lawyer, you actually get a real person who actually understands your or knows your account and understands the issues. And so for anyone listening, if you're at LegalZoom and you're about to start a new entity, I just started one yesterday or a couple of days ago. Went over to Rocket Lawyer. No ad here, no ad revenue. Actually, Rocket Lawyer, if you're listening.
Actually, see, I use lawdepot.com.
Well, there you go. So there's multiple there.
So the only reason I use Law Depot is because it's really, I don't call anybody. It's like a form. It's really easy. I'll probably get sued and lose everything. This is going to go.
Do they offer to be your registered agent?
I don't.
That's one of the main reasons I use Rocket Lawyer because it's like $120 extra or something like that. Yeah, they'll also be the registered agent and do all that stuff.
Pull Clay's comments up. We're gonna fist fight. Clay, next time I see you, me and you, it's going down. I'm just saying, it's going down.
By the way, hey, Twitter, LinkedIn fights seem to be all the rage. Maybe we should just set this up. Maybe we should get a fundraiser to go together. Ryan, you're coming out to Midland already. Clay, let's set this thing up.
Wow. I have never been more disappointed in a listener than I am in Clay right now. Like it's unbelievable.
Clay,
what's wrong with you people?
Clay, it took you a while to come over to the right side. You were on the dark side for a minute, but welcome. It's good to have you. Appreciate the support.
Unbelievable.
I will. So, okay, for anyone else listening, this doesn't seem to be arguable. I'm confused, Ryan.
You're going to send me the video. I'm going to cut that portion up. I'm going to put it out, and we'll let people.
I thought you had better taste than this. I'm confused, actually.
Okay. Let's go ahead and get this. Let's go. Yeah, let's have the jack. All right, let's get this going.
Yeah, if you get Ryan at Shaq in the back, the world is nigh. It's ending.
July 1st, Walgreens. Key earning announcement. I like Walgreens. Good stock. Good dividend payer. So there you go. Also, ConocoPhillips, June 30th, will have their virtual market update. And then also on my birthday, your boy's birthday, July 2nd, the U.S. balance of trade for May 2021 will come out, and the U.S. non-payroll for June 2021 will come out. So the government says my birthday, which is actually, if you go back in history and read, it should be the original Day of Independence. It's actually July 2nd, but, whatever. They wanted it to be special for me. So here it is. All right, Ben, I would say it was fun this morning.
Ryan, you were on point today. You came in with talking points. You had a good cleanup there. I mean, I don't know what tomorrow's going to look like, but today went pretty well.
I'm not going to talk about this anymore. I got up at 7 this morning. I sent over articles only to get told that Krispy Kreme is not the best. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Stay in your lane and don't have bad takes, and it won't happen tomorrow. I don't know what to tell you. Until tomorrow, guys, we're signing off. That's it. Cut the feed.
Good.